It's the power of Christ that compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
Number 10. The Power of Christ Compels You. The Exorcist.
I command you, by the judge of the living and the dead, to depart from the servant of God.
It's a scene that's been referenced and parodied countless times. The power of this scene has compelled us to watch it again and again, but it remains incredibly haunting. The sight of Regan levitating off the bed is one of the most famous visuals from the original movie. There are also several smaller details that give the scene its chilling effect.
It's the power of Christ that compels you. The power of Christ compels you.
For example, a slash appears across Regan's leg when Father Merrin sprays it with holy water. And the actor's breath is visible in the air thanks to director William Friedkin having cooled the set to -20 Fahrenheit. As Regan breaks free of her bonds and claws at the air, even Merrin falls silent, speechless in the presence of such great evil. Number 9. The Voice Recordings. The Exorcist.
Who are you?
When we think of The Exorcist, we often think first of the exorcism sequences. But the movie is filled with other creepy moments, and this is undoubtedly one of them. In this scene, Karras and a language specialist listen to an audio recording of the demon speaking.
It's a language, all right. It's English.
What do you mean English?
It's English in reverse. Listen.
The sound is incredibly unnerving, especially when we learn that it's actually speaking in English, just in reverse. This is yet another great detail that adds a layer of unearthly surrealism to the possession. And just when we're sufficiently creeped out, the world's loudest phone begins to ring, giving us the jump scare of our lives. Number 8. Thrashing About. The Exorcist. While all the medical professionals in the film are at a loss as to what's going on with Regan, Dr. Klein gets an up-close and personal view of her possession, and it ain't too pretty. Dr. Klein is rushed over to the McNeil house to address Regan's latest episode, only to walk in on her violently thrashing about in her bed against her own will.
Stop! It's burning! It's burning!
Do something, Doctor, please help her!
Please, Mother!
Linda Blair's fear is palpable in this scene, as the actor was actually injured due to improperly fixed safety equipment. But Regan's fears become everyone else's when she backhands the doctor and shows off her new vocal chops.
All right, let's see what to do. Keep away! The soul is mine!
From there, Regan makes some pretty horrendous gestures, at which point Chris can only despair at what her daughter has become.
Hold her straight. Hold her tight.
Number 7. The Bed Shaking. The Exorcist.
You really don't want me to play, huh?
No, I do. Captain Howdy said no.
Captain who?
Captain Howdy.
A child's bedroom is supposed to be a safe space, and that's what makes the demon's activities in Regan's room so scary. The first signs of Regan's possession could be dismissed as psychological. At a party, she urinates on the floor and tells a guest that he's going to die.
Oh my God, honey. Honey, what's the matter? I'm sorry she's been sick. She didn't know what she was saying.
Okay.
Come upstairs.
But when a troubled Chris puts her to bed, the bed begins violently shaking by itself. The Exorcist is masterfully paced, and this is the troubling visual that kicks off far more troubling stages of possession. It's a boundary of sorts, ending the calm first act and serving as a dire portent for things to come.
Look, I got on the bed. The whole bed was thumping and rising off the floor and shaking, the whole thing.
Number 6. The Patient on the Ceiling. The Exorcist III.
Traveling man, one who moves. Old friends, one who moves.
While most of the attention deservedly goes to the original Exorcist, the third is also a surprisingly decent horror flick with its own cache of solid sequences. In this one, Lieutenant William F. Kinderman quietly surveys the patients in a mental health unit.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Are you crazy? What on earth is the matter with you?
The tension builds throughout the scene, especially when someone spies on the cop through a darkened room. But then comes the really creepy moment. An elderly woman crawling on all fours across the ceiling. It's a horrifying visual. Not only is the concept creepy, but the woman moves with a supernatural speed that's more akin to a spider. It's a great visual effect, accompanied by a haunting score. Number 5. Reagan at the hospital, The Exorcist.
Want to roll your fist? Arm up. Very good. That wasn't so bad, was it?
After realizing that her daughter is unwell, Chris becomes desperate and takes Reagan to the hospital. And it's here where some of the film's most iconic scares take place. One sees Reagan lying on a bed and opening her eyes in fear before a brief glimpse of the demon Pazuzu flashes across the screen. The face comes out of nowhere, and it's enough to chill the blood. But perhaps the most infamous sequence is Reagan's angiography. The scene has been praised for its realism, but criticized for being too disturbing, especially as it involves a young girl. Author and screenwriter William Peter Blatty has reportedly never watched it, and according to him, it was this scene that upset theatergoers the most.
Okay, you're gonna feel some pressure here. Now, don't move.
Number 4. Karras' Dream, The Exorcist.
I need out. I'm unfit. I think I've lost my faith, Tom.
As the movie's title suggests, The Exorcist is first and foremost the story of Father Damien Karras, following his crisis of faith and character development in the face of evil. It's established early that Karras has lost his spirituality, and this is made worse by the death of his mother.
Oh, Christ. I should have been there. I wasn't there. I should have been there.
In a surreal dream sequence, Karras dreams about her emerging from a subway station. She mouths some indistinct words before descending back down. The atmosphere is wickedly foreboding, especially thanks to its sound design. It is an eerily accurate representation of a nightmare.
Are you gonna steal my shoes now?
No. I tell fortunes by reading the creases. Now shut up and go to sleep.
Number 3. The Jump Scare, The Exorcist III. When William Friedkin left The Exorcist III during pre-production, author William Peter Blatty got his own chance to direct, and gave us one of the best jump scares in horror history. In a long take that lulls viewers into a false sense of security, a nurse goes about her business in a hallway.
Can't I get any sleep? What the hell do you want?
The camera placement, drawn-out pacing, and lack of sound contribute to a sleepy atmosphere. But that's when Blatty hits you with a terrifying noise and the sight of a figure wielding shears behind the nurse. It still gets us, even when we know it's coming. Number 2. The Spider Walk, The Exorcist.
He must have been drunk. He fell down from the top of the steps right outside. By the time he hit M Street, he broke his neck.
It's crazy to think that the Spider Walk was cut from the theatrical version. For years, fans debated whether it even existed. Film critic Mark Kermode found the deleted footage in the Warner Brothers archives, and it was restored for the director's cut, released in 2000. It has since become one of the movie's most famous scenes, and for good reason. The Spider Walk was performed by stuntwoman Ann Miles, who crawls down the stairs on all fours, and backwards no less. As if that visual wasn't scary enough, Reagan then screeches and reveals a mouthful of blood. Number 1. The Crucifix, The Exorcist.
I'll come back when she's feeling better.
If there's one scene The Exorcist is known for, it's the infamous crucifix sequence. Hearing her daughter's desperate cries, Chris runs up to Reagan's room, only to find her performing an unspeakable act with a crucifix. She rushes to stop Reagan, but the possessed girl slaps her down to the floor. As if that wasn't disturbing enough, Reagan turns her head around to face backwards, accompanied by a sickening crunching noise. The scene's power to shock endures to this day, so we can only imagine how powerful it was back in 1973. It is an iconic, horrific, and absolutely terrifying sequence.
You know what she did?
Which of these scenes terrified you the most? Let us know in the comments below.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
You'd like that?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.